All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the call. I want to welcome everybody that's here. I hope everybody was able to hear that really nice intro. Um, oops, not that one. My bad. Anyway, I hope everybody else has had a wonderful week this week. For us, it has been really good. John's got a quick question. My son got a ticket last year out of state for having a cell phone in his hand. Wow. Sounds like a serious crime. Might need to call Perry Mason about that one. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, John. Anyway, he just had a background check done, and they found out he had a cell phone in his left hand. Anyway, and it came back with a criminal traffic thing on it. Anyway, you can get that thing removed. Yes. And I'm really glad you brought that up. It's wonderful. That's a wonderful question. So I'm really glad everybody's here tonight. Welcome to the call. This call we do every Monday night, 6 p.m. Central Time, unless we have Shabbat. And how do we know when Tim Dameron celebrates Shabbat? Well, it is on the 15th, the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th of every single month. And what you'll notice is it populates like whatever day the 15th falls on, that's like a Wednesday or a Tuesday or whatever. And it kind of hops around a little bit. And I know that sounds a little strange, but the reason that it does is because if you look at creation, we have a 7 day a week, 364 day a year calendar. Did you know that? Do the math. 52 weeks, just do all that math and you're going to come up with 364. And then you're going to scratch your head and go, you know what? They've been lying to us this whole time. Yes, they have. And so we've been following this Gregorian calendar, most of us, most of our lives. And here we are today. And this is why your birthday is never on the same date. You ever notice that? You're born like on a Tuesday, but your birthday falls on a Friday this week. It's because they just keep adding extra days. And one of the days that is added to the Gregorian calendar for this is St. Patrick's Day. That's a big one. And basically what that does is it throws off the days. If you look at and then a lot of people say, well, I like to do the Saturday Sabbath. Well, that's great. But Saturn's day is not Yahweh's day. And it never will be. Well, sometimes it is. But it's just because it falls on that 15th day calendar. So what we've got to do is we've got to follow Yahweh and put all this other stuff aside. And what you'll notice is everything starts lining up anyway in a strange kind of crazy way. So basically, well, then you just can skip your birthdays from now on. Patrick says, I was born on St. Patty's Day. Well, then you were born on a fake day, Patrick. You're going to have to pick the 14th or the 16th. You're just going to have to pick one, dude. That's it. Just kidding. I don't know how that works, man. There's another scripture in the word that says to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. And that's just where you have to kind of make that line. That's where you have to make that decision. When I was first getting to know Yahweh and all the stuff that he wanted me to do that no other Christian church told me to ever do. And so to me, it was completely foreign. Like, really? We can't eat shrimp anymore? Really? Why? It's a big deal. Catfish is good. What's up? Get some big noodling catfish. They're fun, right? Unclean. Can't eat that stuff. And what I noticed was when I started taking all this stuff out of my diet, my health started improving dramatically. And I started figuring out that, you know what? I'm going to follow this calendar thing too. And, it's working. It's working pretty good. So anyway, that's the short story on Shabbat and how that works. Welcome to the call, everybody. Glad that you're here. Tonight we are going to be talking about. Well, we've got the class that's coming up tomorrow night. Okay, we've got a debt and foreclosure class coming up tomorrow night, but we're going to be talking about UCC and trust. Tonight we're going to be talking about how that's going to affect you. Why do we need to file these things, or why should we file these things? Well, there's a lot of folks out there that will tell you that there's something wrong with your citizenship and that you need to fix it, because it's broken and you're slaves. And hold on, see if that worked better. And we don't, and all this fear. Oh, you did this. And oh, this isn't this and that. And it's just a bunch of overcritical thinking. Because here's the reality, you all. We have all the switches. We can do anything. The problem is we don't know how. The problem is we don't know where public and private begins and ends. So I have a battery of 4 classes that I teach that enforce this process so that you can manage your life better, not change your citizenship, not throw out your citizenship and, say that you're a foreign national or any stupid crap like that. Because look, right now, it's not popular. Can I say that again? It's not popular, okay, to be throwing your citizenship out the window, especially if you live in Texas. There's a lot of people coming into the borders every day right now. And what's going to happen? Somebody's going to have to clean this mess up. Somebody's going to have to get some of them folks up out of here. Some of those folks are not going to do all their paperwork and do all the things they're supposed to do, and they'll get little teardrop tattoos and do stupid stuff like that. And we might have to ask them to leave. Well, while they're scraping up all those guys, they're going to be coming for all these people that said that we're not United States citizens. So, but Tim, this is what I hear a lot. I hear so many people talking, and they're saying it's a bad thing, and it's slavery, and it's this, and it's that, and it's this with a wiffle ball bat, whatever. Okay, look, United States citizenship is like a suit. We can put it on, and we can take it off, and we can put it on, and we can take it off. Okay, it's not a slave collar. It can be. Let me tell you, an addiction to sugar can be a slave collar. You know, and true story. We have to kind of regulate these things. We have to find balance. And can I tell you that there's only balance in Yahweh? There's only balance in Torah. We have a lot of movements that are out there, and they're narcissistically driven. Yeah, these are people that are mentally ill, literally trying to control their own narratives or their own lies. Got a lot of that going on these days. We got a lot of people out there running around with their own gospels, right? We got Christian churches running around saying it's okay. You guys can play with each other's weenies and all that kind of inappropriate stuff, and that's totally fine. We accept you as you are. The problem is that Yahweh doesn't accept you as you are. The problem is that Yahweh doesn't care about your confusion about your gender. He doesn't. That's just further proof that there's something missing in your life. And instead of finding what's missing in our lives, we're out there balancing baloney. We're out there balancing things that just can't be balanced. And now we're asking the public to step in and give approval for the 2% that are confused about their gender. Really? And I think that's about right. I think it's 2 to 3%. Oh, but they're gaining numbers fast, aren't they? We got a lot of people moving in the movement right now, and they've got their own 1, 2, 3. They've got their own gospel now. We hear what's new now in the Christian market. They're all knocking Paul now. Yeah. You're saying Paul is a bad guy. Are you kidding me? I'm serious, dude. Sean, I know. I see the look on your face. I'm totally serious. I have heard people say this. Oh, Paul's a bad guy. They're campaigning against him like he just ran down the street 2 weeks ago. And hey, man, did I hear what I said? And I mean, you should hear these people like they know something, like they were there with Silas in the jail, like they knew something. And let me tell you why they're saying something about him. Because Paul was speaking up. Paul spoke to these churches, and he started showing them when they started heading south, when they started heading away from Torah, when they started putting bumper stickers on their cars. Huh? Yeah. He started dealing with that. He started dealing with a lot of the corruption and a lot of the mishaps and the things that are going on. But I'm going to tell you, we are in those final days. We are in the final days right now. We have an explosion of knowledge everywhere. You know what? I just watched a video about a guy that created a water car, and the CIA came and took his car like 2 weeks ago. Really? Did you guys hear about that guy? And he said, screw it. He's making one that runs on air pressure now, compressed air. Who would have thought? There's an explosion of knowledge that's going to hit the ground, says the book of Revelation. And it's not lying. One thing that we have to understand about Torah is that Torah doesn't lie to you. But let me tell you something. I will, because I have a sinful nature. Michael will. No, he won't. I'm just kidding. He won't lie to you. Yes, he will. But he'll do it in fun. He'll be smiling at you later. See, he'll put like a little icing on it and it'll be okay. But it's still a lie. Doesn't matter. And we're all going to fail you. And David Straight's going to fail you. He's failed thousands of people around this country. And he's failing because he doesn't know what comes next. Because you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't have the wisdom to use it, you're as lost as the man on Desert Island. You're there. You're more lost than that guy. Because now you got all this stuff and you don't know what to do with it. Perfect example, 1984. In Africa, they couldn't grow anything or having all kinds of problems. And dude, I was like 10. Okay. So it's just very limited. Okay. But I'm trying to bring it back here. So basically, in a nutshell, the United States writes a big check to John Deere, and they send all this farming equipment out there and everything to help these guys get going. We're going to dig holes. We're going to get you some wells out there. We're going to fix it. We're going to undo that curse that Yahweh put on the land out there when Cain sinned against Yahweh. Yeah, that's what happened. Anyway, we're going to undo all that. We're going to do that. And you know what happened? Those guys had no idea what they were doing with any of that machinery. They just dropped it off out there, and it all just sat out there and rotted and rusted and went to crap. That's right. And Yahweh's curse still sustained. So we have to know that when we operate in succession with Yahweh, things are going to work out. You're guaranteed they're going to work out. And if they don't work out according to your measure, you better check your suitcase. You might find a little extra thing of Rolos in there that you didn't know you had if you're walking with Yahweh. You might find a blessing in there that you never thought you had before. I can tell you because that's happened to me. It's happened to my children. So when we're dealing with these people, one of the struggle, and they say the struggle is real, it's very real. When we're dealing with these principalities, you know, the Bible talks about them, spirits and principalities. What is a principality? Anybody know? It's illegal. It's the legal guys. It's the cops. It's the courts. It's the government. Those are the principalities. And so when the word says that the spirit is manipulating those principalities and that your war is not with flesh and blood, but it's with spirit and principalities, that's when you know the Star Trek movie is over. That's when you know you're not the same. You're not the same. And Yahweh has called each one of you out of darkness. One thing that I learned last Shabbat that Yahweh was talking to me about is don't complain. Don't complain while he's saving you. Rejoice. Your manna might be long, but you know what? Your tummies are still full. And I got to tell you guys, we're heading into some big storms. Our faith is going to be tested like nothing else. So what we have to have is we have to have an understanding of how this stuff works. A lot of people that are losing every day in the David Straight market, they're losing. Why? Because they're walking in with this 1876 and 1871 law, you know, and they're spreading it around like it's paint. Or they're printing off PDFs and they're running around like they're blank checks. Look, we can get them. And they're all excited. They're drunk. They're drunk on sovereign citizen moonshine. They really are. That's what you're seeing. These are people that are depressed. And they just found something to pick them up out of that depression. But the problem is that's temporary. You want something that's real? America, you want something that's real? Stop chasing these rainbows. Start chasing the maker of that rainbow. Start chasing what he wants you to do. You know, all of us have worked in office environments and things like that. And we always have that guy in the office that's just kissing it. You know what I mean? He's just laying it out, man. He's got to be number one every time. He's got to be right there. I mean, he knows what kind of car the boss drives. He probably puts gas in it. Who knows, man? I mean, who knows what's going on? You know what I mean? We all have those people in life. And the problem is that they're not chasing the right thing. They're following a man. A lot of people talking about David, talking about the rock band. And the reality is that these guys are just a big fat pedo group. And they've been using everybody this whole time just to fund a trafficking ring. I'm going to tell you, I knew people that were staying at the ROT once upon a time. And when you think about what is trafficking, when somebody says, hey, if you're running from CPS, if you're running from, a divorce decree or any kind of dishonor, come on down to the ROT and we'll take care of you and we'll help you. When you're involving children into that equation, that's trafficking too. That's serious. And you know what? I have seen this with my own eyes. I have talked to people that are in that camp. Can't be funding stuff like this. Oh, cool. Cool, Sean. I'm glad you're going to be in class tomorrow. Awesome. We got to stop this. And how do we stop this? Do we go in and we put our feet up on the chair and be disrespectful? Because, that helps so many people, right? Do we do that? No. Do we go in there? Do we raise arguments about everything else but what you're in there for? You ever notice that? They'll start complaining about the flag, the paint, the walls. Jefferson's picture is crooked over here. We need to fix that. You know what I mean? I mean, seriously, come on. Look, the problem is that we have surrendered. This country has surrendered a lot of its rights and privileges to the government that's in place. They've decided that they don't want to handle things on their own anymore. And we've been told through digital programming, through television, through entertainment, as they say, that this is what we need to do. But what does Torah say? Torah says that we need to follow Yahweh's rule. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be talking about what is Yahweh's rule. Yahweh is the author of common law. And so when you start invoking common law, and I mean, and you're actually really doing it, you're not just rolling down the window and talking trash like I've heard so many people do on YouTube. When you move in common law and you move in equity, everything moves as it should. You don't have to stand out there and direct traffic. You don't have to explain the situation so everybody's up to cue. You don't have to do any of that. Equity puts all those things into place. Tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about that. Al is taking over. Who's taking over? Who's Al? Al Bundy? I'm confused. I thought they canceled that show. Anyway, we're going to have to clarify on that one. But
talking about AI.
What's that?
AI.
What about AI?
Artificial intelligence is taking over.
Oh, well, absolutely it is. Absolutely. Yeah, we've got a big influence with artificial intelligence taking over. You know why? Because people don't want to think anymore. Have you noticed that people really don't have any real thinking skills anymore? Watch people drive. Watch them when it's time for them to make decisions. They just stop and they freeze. Why? Because they're waiting for someone to make it for them. Go look in traffic. You'll see 40 cars on the right-hand lane. Right? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You see 40 cars in the right-hand lane. Everybody's going straight, but everybody's just in the right-hand lane. And then the extrovert like me says, that's dumb. We go over there, we get in front of everybody, and we pass everybody, we go, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? Well, that's because those people are not looking at the light. They're watching that bumper instead. And there's a lesson to be learned in that. We need to be watching the light. We need to be watching for Yahweh. Because I'm going to tell you, he's coming. There is already negotiation. Oh, AI. Okay, got you. There's already negotiations for them to start building the temple, and the Muslims are going to let them build the temple. That's about to start happening. And if you read your Bibles, and you should, you can actually see what's going to come next. They're going to renege on this thing, and then they're all going to jump up there, and we're going to have all kinds of problems. Lots of problems. And you know who's going to save you? Certainly not anybody in our government. They're too busy trying to put each other in jail and hold fake news conferences and make it all look good on the outside, but no real substance, you see. So what do we have to cling to? Truth. Tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about... Hold on a second. Tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about... sometimes I just want to strangle people. This guy's the person that just called. He's actually supposed to be on the call. Like, what time is it? Oh, I guess he thought we would just wait for him for like 20 minutes to show up. What an ass. I'm sorry. Just God. Yep. That's why Cam's not on the show anymore. We know how that worked out. So anyway, you just got to filter them. And when they come in, they come in. But anyway, tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about how to move in equity. Okay. One of the things that people really are losing in is they're going into court, they're representing themselves, they're doing some research, and they're walking in with laws. And they're saying, hey, but this law says this, and this law says this, and this law says that. And what we see more often than not is these laws contradict each other, don't they? Look how many variations of murder we have. Why? So we can kill somebody. Right? If they break in your house, they do this, they do this, they do this, you could shoot him. Ta-da. Right? Well, that's why we have everything. And that's not always the right way to do things. So where do we find the balance? Where do we find that? We find it with the ancient boundary stone. We find it by walking in honor and never walking in dishonor. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. When you follow through, you follow through. And when you don't, you don't. Hey, I fail every day. I'm nobody perfect over here. I'm not preaching. I'm trying to teach today. And I got to tell you, tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about pushing back. A lot of times, your lenders, the servicers that are servicing you, right? These people that are supposed to be helping you with your Capital One account, these people that are supposed to be helping you with your automobile loan. What happens when they don't? It happens all the time. They screw people over all the time, don't they? We hear about it in the news constantly. Look what Wells Fargo did a couple of years ago. They got busted for opening up all those fake accounts. And everybody thought it was like, oh, and they opened up those fake accounts. Oh, what a terrible thing. Well, here's what they didn't tell you. It wasn't about the fake accounts. It was about the fake insurance policies that back up every one of those accounts. That's where the fraud was all about. But see, they didn't tell anybody that. Why? Because that which is private, and that which is public is public. So when we move against an entity and you move against these people, there are special rules of engagement. There is a specific checklist that you have to follow. You cannot go in there and make things up. We got a lot of folks that are making things up. I got a lot of folks that call me every day and they tell me, I sent all this stuff to my bank and this and this and this and this and this. Oh, my favorite is and I asked them for their accounting for their taxes. And they're not giving you that. You couldn't even get Donald Trump's taxes. Why is the bank going to give you their taxes? Really? And then you're going to default them on what? A groundless request? Yes, that's exactly right. And you're dumb. And that's why it doesn't work. That's why they come up with stupid names like sovereign citizen. What is a sovereign citizen? A sovereign citizen, that's me, right? No, a sovereign citizen is somebody that believes that they have no personal responsibility. And I say this all the time. A sovereign citizen is what I call an organized narcissist. Yeah, that's what I call it. Like if you put like superpowers and a cape and a bunch of other stupid stuff on a narcissist, I think that's what you get. It is. And what these people believe is they have a constant need because they're so depressed to elevate themselves above other people constantly. And they're checking in with other people just to make sure they're where they're supposed to be. And the word says that we're not supposed to measure ourselves according to men. So that should tell you that behavior right there doesn't come from Yahweh, it comes from the down place. And it only comes from two places. Either down or up. That's it. There's no in between. There's no gray areas. And this is what people are missing. This is what people are missing when they're talking to their lenders. They think that the lenders create these gray areas. Like, oh, well, it's okay because, we did this and this and this. Or I had one that told me one time, if you don't do this, this will be a breach of our contract. Guess what she didn't expect me to say? Can you show me, please? I need to see it in the next couple of days. You need to show me where that is in our contract. What am I doing? Am I arguing with her? Am I telling her, oh, that's not true. You shouldn't be telling that. Am I calling David straight and asking for a whole bunch of USC code so I can throw it at him? Nope. All I'm doing is asking him to show me where it is. Show me where I agreed to this, because I don't think I did. Tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about that exchange. What do you do from there? When they breach the agreement, you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to recontract. But see, this involves a lot more things. This involves presentment, acceptance, all of the things that we have to have. And most importantly, we have to have witnesses. So I know there's a popular group out there that will tell you that you need to go, cancel your own stamps. You go buy the stamps from the post office. Yeah, so you paid them. And then you're not even paying them to cancel because they'll cancel the stamps for free. But instead of doing that, you're going to cancel them yourself, because now the narcissist, the organized narcissist, has now empowered you and told you that you are your own postmaster. Oh my God. Look at this. When is payday? Did I get a round date or two? No, absolutely not. You just get to sign. Dang. No, but they're so close. I heard somebody this week, they said, this is my firm mailing book. And it was like a spiral notebook. So we're just going to call it that. And then it'll just magically turn itself into it. Nobody signed it. Nobody did anything on it. It was just some method of filing. So can I say that there's a way that seems right unto man, but the end thereof is death. The end thereof is failure. And can I tell you, death and failure kind of belong in the same closet. Does it make sense, everybody? It does. What happens when the guy fails in the movie? He dies. Unless he's Wile E. Coyote. Then he never dies. Never. Love that guy. Staying power. Foolish, but staying power. Anyway, I got to tell you, this class is definitely my favorite class to teach. And only because it puts us in a position where we're supposed to be. So what happens when you when you pay off your loan? Well, you're certainly not the borrower anymore, now are you? No. Can I tell you that most loans are held in trust? So that means that you're a beneficiary. And when we start understanding how to invoke and use trust law, then we start writing letters of direction. And then they're compelled to answer. And when they don't answer, that's not just a breach of contract, but it's a breach of fiduciary oath. Or it's a breach of their fiduciary position. So if Sharon down there in payments is dropping the ball and she's doing something, you have a responsibility. And then we have to close them. I had somebody this week ask me, "Do you know anything about? Have you ever gotten any warrants taken care of?" Whoa! You think I am Johnny Cochran? No, man, I've never done a warrants like that. But I asked a little bit more information, and the warrant was from like 2018. Ooh, that's pretty old. And on a traffic ticket? Hmm. You know what that becomes? Or do you know what it is? It's actually a public debt. It is. So when we have a debt that's lingering around out there, like what we were talking about earlier about this little question about the background check, tomorrow night's class, very effective. See, there's a process and there's some tax forms that have to be filed every time they run to the treasury. And if they sentence you for anything, there's a communication that has to happen between them and the IRS. And when it doesn't happen, you have fraud. And we've been hearing a lot of talk about these IRS agents that are coming down. They're coming down for them. And they're probably coming down for these people that have expatriated themselves from the United States and are running around here earning income and not paying tax on it. And what's going to happen is they're going to send you out of this country. Yeah. So if you guys had filed an AOR, fix it. You do it now, because otherwise you may have some ICE agents at your door questioning your citizenship. And we need to be able to put that suit on and off like we're supposed to. It's an employee suit, really. So when we talk about the travel class and we talk about the difference between public and private, when we talk about traveling in our private versus traveling in public or traveling in commerce, and they say, I'm not traveling in commerce. Well, the only way you can travel in commerce is if you've created a liability. Did you know that? So their job is to exploit your liabilities. And your job is to make sure that they don't, and you stay in your living room. So when we're doing these things, we have to look at all the elements involved. And if we're not, and if we're taking out personal responsibility, you're deceiving yourself, you're hurting yourself, and you're gonna hurt people around you. So I actually have a guest that came on tonight, and I'm glad he's here. And we're going to be talking a little bit. I'm going to give him a few minutes here. We had a really great conversation today. He's actually here in Texas, and there is a lot of talk about the Real ID Act, just to change gears a little bit. And this man today actually went down and got a Texas identification card today without the social. How'd he do that? Pretty good, huh? Now, does it mean that the social is a bad thing and this and that? No. No. Does it mean it's a contract and it's going to tie you to the chair of your living room and you'll be lit on fire every Wednesday night at 7 p.m.? No, absolutely not. It's nothing like that at all. Look, don't be scared of this stuff. We got to learn to manage it. But we have to learn to manage the public servants. And what I really like about Mark is he doesn't when he argues, he doesn't really argue with people. He just lands the plane. And there's really, and he covers like every corner. He's like, he just really does. He does a great job at that. So I'm gonna bring him on. We've got some time, and I'm sure you guys are probably gonna have some questions about how he did this and what happened. But I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Robert. But come on, man, and let us know how your afternoon was today. And welcome to the call.
What's going on? So there wasn't really anything to the social regarding the license. I just wanted to see if it could be done.
Right.
Bring the argument, have the discussion, and then so it's bringing the argument. So it's the argument, discussion, resolution. That's it. If anything outside that, you've lost the argument. If you're arguing with them, then just go home. Try again.
I mean, and
There are
that's
other,
kind of how it went today, right? You guys you dropped the bomb, you left the room, and then she came out.
and then yeah, that's it. Pretty much, I did what I did, and then you know, stuff happened.
So, well,
So
tell us the procedure. Tell us what happened, because you gotta catch everybody up now.
all right, so I haven't had a license, and it wasn't because I got my I didn't I let my license expire, and I just didn't want to wait in the DMV line, and I never get pulled over anyways. And I had a passport, and I just said screw it. So it wasn't like I was trying to prove a point with a license, but the laws have changed somewhat since I bought my car. And the last time I bought my car was in 2012, and my license was good. I was looking to get a new car. Pulled up the Privacy Act, Section 7. I was okay. Well, I'm gonna put this to the test. And I wrote, and Tim has the paperwork. I went to the DMV. Here's my application. Or it's in the box it says check here if you're a citizen of the United States, lowercase c. I checked no. Not because I believe I wasn't a citizen of the United States, but that term has a definition. And last I checked, there were 7 different definitions. Which one are you referring to? And they couldn't point to a definition. I said, well, until you point to a definition, I'm not going to commit perjury in this form. And for you to check that box for me, you're suborning perjury because you have no idea my political status with the United States or the state of Texas. But I can tell you this. I was born in Texas. I'm a Texan, red-blooded through and through. I would die a red-blooded Texan through and through. And she goes, okay, so.
Don't mess with Texas.
And I simply said that I would just, if I need to put a label on it, then you can just count me as a non-citizen national, or national but not a citizen of the United States, as dictated by the Department of State. And then, but I have an oath. I took the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the state of Texas. Here's my recorded in the county recorder's office. I recorded the pledge. It was signed by a judge. I went for a judge, and I took the pledge to the state of Texas. The same day that I took my pledge to become a notary. And here's my pledge. You can consider me a Texan. But as far as the status of citizen of the United States, that further definition, I can't give you a definitive answer to that.
Well, that's only
on this go.
correct. I mean, because that's only if you're working for the government. I mean, my understanding is U.S. citizenship is really just if you're working for the government. You're an employee of the government.
Yeah, it's just an employment status. That's all it is.
Right.
So it is a citizen. When you're talking about a citizen, that is talking about a U.S. status.
Correct.
It's a tax status within the United States. Within the United States, it is a tax status within the United States.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about a resident, that is a tax status within the state.
Mm-hmm.
So you have citizen. You're not a citizen of Texas. You are a resident of Texas. You are a citizen of the United States. Anyway, so all that, and I filled out the application. And since 0 has no value, it is not perjury to put down 0 because 0 lacks a given value. So it's not perjury to put down your social as all zeros with a dash. Now, if I put all ones, that's a number that can be construed as a perjurious or fictitious number. 0, however, is not. So I put down all zeros on my application. Granted, I have not had a license since 2014.
2012.
2014.
Oh, that made it better.
Yeah, so now I'm of the older generation. I grew up in an area where everybody knew everybody, and I actually never took a driving test. I was just given my permit because the instructor who gave the test was also my school bus driver growing up, and he already knew that I was driving dirt bikes and motorcycles and things of that nature. So he already knew that I knew the rules of the road, and I got my permit. I didn't take a test. So when they went to pull me up. So they said, okay, fine, we'll worry about that later. They went to try to pull me up for the license, and they said, have you ever? She had like this odd query look on her face. I was like, have you ever taken a driving test? I said, no. How'd you get your license? I had a permit that developed into a student license, and I got my regular license when I was 18.
So
He never took the test. I said,
how did that fan out today, though? How did all that pull into?
well, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Okay.
So regarding the social on my driver license, now here and they did it kind of janky. They tried to get away with it, but I caught them. My license. So tripper came out. This big this guy was a little bit scary. I'm 6'1", but he was a little scary. But I had the law in my hand. I said, listen, here's the thing. Why don't you want to give a social? It's part of the Real ID Act. That's fine. Here's about the Real ID Act. The Real ID Act came out in 2005. It was revised in 2008. It doesn't require me to give a social. It just within the act, it requires me to give I forget what it says, like a uniform. I forget what it says.
Think. Come on, it's important. That was good. That was like that was the bologna in your sandwich.
Well, it was an identifying number. It was just
there we go.
Yeah, it has to be some kind of identifying number.
So like a library card number, a high school ID number, could be anything. Doesn't have to be the social.
Just something to identify you to that license. If you have I could give my voter's registration number. It identifies me some fashion with the driver license. I said,
how stuck were they? How stuck were these people?
Well, she didn't really know what to do, and I was looking at the trip. I said, listen, here's the situation. You're a state trooper. The state of Texas is a sovereign state, subject only to the United States. It says it's in the Texas Constitution. Texas is a free and independent state,
That's right.
subject only to the United States Constitution. And I'm going to assume that the Social Security Administration Act was a constitutionally passed law within the United States. And we have our Social Security cards, our Social Security numbers, and all that kind of stuff. So the United States has said in the law, specifically Section 7, in the note section of Title 5, that no federal, state, or local entity can deny me a right, title, benefit, or privilege for refusal to give a social. I understand that your office is required to ask, but I am not required to give. You have met the burden of the requirement. I will acknowledge that. You have asked me, and I am refusing. I'm not applying for credit. You're not a credit card company. I'm not applying for any kind of thing except a driver license. And I'm only applying for the driver license in preservation of my life, so I don't get shot on the side of the road for not having a driver license because I watch a lot of YouTube. So
fear mongering at its best. I love it.
So I don't know what y'all have to do. But if the United States, the Social Security Administration finds out that I was denied a right, title, benefit, or privilege, i.e. this driver license, and you have forced me to give a social, that's compilation. That's a forced contract, and the contract is void on its face because I did not consent. So she put down all zeros because that's what I want. She put down put all zeros down and see what happens, and let's go from there. Otherwise, we can just make up some identifying number that's required under the act, and you can just use that number and que sera, sera. Just put in all zeros, and I'd be goddamn, it took. Sorry, my bad. It took. Right. So
rough edges. He's getting there.
I get my paper, my paper license has my name on there. Has my current picture, everything on there. The only thing it doesn't have on there is the fact that I wear corrective lenses because I went in there with contacts and they didn't really, glasses, they didn't really notice that. So in the mail, I received my driver license. What they did was they took my previous Class A license with my picture of when I was 25 and they superimposed it on my new license. I said, no, you can't do that. That's not, and so I wrote them back and I said, listen, I got a driver license here. This license does not reflect the current record on file. And I sent them.
And they took a picture of you, right?
Yeah, they took a current picture of me, yeah. So I sent back the application that I have a copy of. And I sent him a copy of my paper license and said, you are to update your records to reflect this new contract. And I put in there, if you are attempting to superimpose the Social Security number on this contract without my consent to gain some Title 4D or Title 4E benefit when I don't have children, that's fraud. So I suggest you do the right thing, or I'm going to contact the proper authorities and have this account audited.
And I've actually done that.
2 weeks
I've
later,
actually done that.
2 weeks later, I got my new license in the mail.
That's funny. That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations. I'm glad that
Now,
worked
and
out.
I still have my old one, my current old one, just to show if I was going to show
before and after?
the transparency, the before and after, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Matter of fact, my girl will contest this. When I got pulled over just the other day for no seatbelt, cop was real nice, swell guy.
That's
He
lame.
said he ran my license, and he said what's going on? Because he looked kind of bewildered because they have this little handheld device now they can scan the windshield. I'm trying to hurry up so I don't keep your show off too long.
You're good. You're good.
But he scanned it. He said kind of weird. He says, what? Usually I see the last four of a person's social on here, but I don't see a social on here. It's just all zeros. Oh yeah. That's correct. Okay. Well, here's your warning. You have a good day. And that was it. It was today. Same.
That means no money
before.
for them.
So today, we did the same thing for my girlfriend's.
Out of
She wanted
state.
to get she had an out-of-state license, but it had been revoked due to some past tickets. So we wanted to just get an ID card to kind of get things going. So we got the ID card, went in there, spoke to the gatekeeper, and I got a bunch of pushback. And I said what I had to say. I said, we're just going to contact the Social Security Administration, let them know that you are refusing to give us the right title benefit of privilege, and see what they say. And we're just going to report the captain on duty. And the clerk called me to her desk. Hey, listen, just go outside, have her come back in with the documentation. And if we can't help you today, here's the number you can call. So I took the number, I left. I went out to my car to chill out. I said what I had to say. I'm not going to get heated. I'm not going to yell. She went back inside.
He called me invented.
And she came outside all smiling. She came outside smiling. And I was like, did it work? She said, yep, it worked. Yep, I got to get my driver. So she came out to get her purse to pay for the ID. And I was like, holy crap, it worked. Oh my God. So we have the driver license experience now, and we have one for the state ID for the state of Texas
Awesome.
that works. And
so we need to know that. Yeah, that's important stuff. We don't we don't have to whip out our social every time somebody asks.
Now, the only reason I
Good to
did
know.
it was and if you actually and I sent you the stuff. If you want to share it, that's fine. I don't care. But I took the time to actually look at the driver license ID application in Texas, the DL-41. I think it's the DL-41 form.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually went through the statutes that require, or that they assume that require us to give the social. And if you actually read it, it deals with CDLs, CDL permit, or if you owe child support or are subject to child support. Nothing else.
Let's close it up because I gotta finish up the show here. So what was the
That's it.
But that's killer though. I mean, well, and and I think that the more that we shield ourselves, I think the better it is. And I think that we need to operate privately with our private stuff. The problem is that even the Social Security Administration will tell you that right on the front page, right on their webpage, that anybody that asks for your social, that's not a form of ID. So
Correct.
understanding this Real ID Act and understanding that really what it's talking about is normal, or it's talking about numbers that are associated with you that are recorded with someone else, which is equity, which is how you have an equitable number. If it's recorded and noted with someone else, you've got equity. if you guys look at your debt notes, okay, those numbers that are on there, those numbers are recorded. They're recorded on the back of everybody's social security cards.
Correct.
So
And I'll-
that
and
being
I'll say this
said,
I'll say this in closing.
uh,
One more step. I'll say this in closing. Because you gave application, because you gave your information, you are the secured party. Go
that's
ahead and
right.
file a UCC 1. Make the driver, like the person, the secured party. Make the DPS office and the DMV the debtor. The collateral is going to be your driver license, your tag, and your plate.
Why?
That's the collect to secure your interest in it. Because under the debt laws of the United States, your driver license, your license plate are considered credit cards under Title 15. That's how
They're
they
bonds.
charge you.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
bonds. That's right. That's exactly right.
So if you have a first lien position on
Mhm.
them, they cannot try you.
And those of you guys that take my UCC and trust class, that's exactly what we cover. We actually cover that to the T, and we cover that and other things that we put into the UCC 1, so that you are in first position, and so that when someone mischarges you or doesn't charge you appropriately, you actually have very good recourse. I wanted to tell you guys also, there's going to be you guys are going to hear some things on TikTok. I'm going to start exposing or really start talking more about the Houston County situation between Houston County and I. It looks as though we are getting close to a point of probably closing, of probably settling this. And Mark is actually on my legal team, and he'll be helping me with that. And I will actually start posting some of the ridiculous nonsense that's there. I'm actually out on a $5,000 cash bond for 0.03 grams of hemp. Yeah, really. That's what I'm out on right now. So I'm going to tell you, these towns and principalities, as I started talking about earlier, they're very powerful, and they're powerful because they move in dishonor. And on the outside, they give you the view, or they tell you that they're moving in honor. They're telling you that you should trust them. They're telling you to stop settling your problems at home and come to the people's court, to Judge Wapner's court, and he'll settle your problems better than you can. And that's absolutely not true. That's absolutely false. And I'm going to tell you that taking control of these processes is what's going to get our country back. And most of us in this republic don't even know what we're doing right now. So it's important for those of us that do know what we're doing, seize the moment, seize the opportunity, because the last shall be first and the first shall be last. That's also in scripture. And this is going to flip. This is all about to flip. And the righteous will not be moved. The righteous, though he may fall 7 times, will get right back up. When the unrighteous fall, they're done. Did anybody see Epstein get back up? Mm-mm. Anybody seen the Queen of England get back up? Mm-mm. Anybody see any of these other idiots get back up? Because they don't. Look at those idiots in the sub. They're probably hiding in Antarctica somewhere. Who knows? But they're not getting back up either now, are they? You know why? Because they moved the ancient boundary stone. Because they're not obeying Torah. They're out there obeying whatever they want to obey. And we have to tighten this thing up. We have to get under his authority, because everything that we know, everything that we've been relying on is faulty. It's been man-made. It's been put into place to create a facade. Have you ever noticed how many people it takes to make a really good movie? You ever seen the credits? It seems like they run for days. You could go out and get popcorn and come back and they still got credits going. You know what I mean? Do you know why it takes so many people to make that movie? Because that movie is a lie. And it takes that many people to make that lie believable. Because you got to have the special effects. You got to have the makeup. And then you have to have the people in the setup crew that are willing to do anything, especially on the Jackass TV or the Jackass set. Yeah, it's true. And this is necessary, you see, to create the facade. Do you really think it takes this many people to run Frisco, Texas, Michael? It doesn't. But it takes that many people to tell a lie and to cover it up. And that's true. That's real. I've seen a lot. I don't know if you guys have been watching Candace. I can't remember her last name. Candace something. She's out of Houston. She's an African American woman. Wears a cowboy hat. Walks around with a Thor hammer. And she is going after all kinds of things going on in Houston, Texas right now. 22 inmates died this year in the Houston County Jail. 22. That's too many. $1.6 million has not been returned to inmates that have been jailed in that jail. That's how irresponsible things are right now. This whole thing is falling apart, guys. And there's not enough men and not enough liars out there to put this thing back together. So we've got to get close. We've got to get close to truth. We've got to get close to Yahweh. And the only way you're going to succeed in this process is to stop watching these bumpers and start watching the lights. And when you start watching the lights, you're going to know when it turns green and you're going to know when it's go time. That's what we got to watch for. Tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about that. Tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about getting the notes back. Tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about getting everything back. You know that you have just as much right to all of this stuff as they do. You hear all these guys giving you all this fear mongering, telling you, you'll leave your checks there. Or here's another one. And I tell people this all the time. If you borrowed $450,000 for your house, okay, or let's just say the median house cost in Texas right now is about $300,000 to $350,000 unless you live in the hood. Okay, that's just true. And that's just the way that they set it up. So if that's the case, when you go into your bank, they got an FDIC plaque up there that says what? They're insured for $250,000. Well, if they're only insured for $250,000, how did they loan you that money? Tomorrow night, I'm going to show you how they did it. They did it by creating a trust and using you as the grantor to do it. Now, when you understand who you are in that circle of friends, and when you start operating in honor and you continue to operate in an honor, then you have set what they call a tacit, it's a tacit standard, because now you're operating according to the agreement. And for them to keep the front alive, they got to operate too. That's why they got Judy up front that always smells good and got her clothes on. Everything's great. And everything's just wonderful on the outside. It's so that when they're lying to you in the back that you don't see it. Yeah. So tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about those relationships. Those of you guys that have had any criminal convictions, okay, those are public debts too. We're going to talk about how to deal with those. I'm going to show you how to make those things go away. And if you've paid your dues and you've paid your price to society, and as long as you're not a pedo, I think you should have all your rights restored. Or a nonviolent criminal, I think you should have your violence restored. I think you should have your rights restored, at least most of them. And, I just think that's the way it should be. And there's a lot of folks out there that don't think that's the way it should be. So we have to look at things equitably. We have to look at things where the equity is. And what is equity? It's when the people are acting as such. So tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about how to get on that wave and ride that wave all the way out. And when they do something they're not supposed to do, you have an opportunity to recontract. I'm going to show you how I did it. And I was actually able to foreclose on my lender and take my property from them. Why? Because they broke the rules. That's why. And who made the rules? They did. But who read the rules? I did. So I'm going to help you guys out with that tomorrow night. I hope you guys have enjoyed the call tonight. Robert, thank you for being here tonight. All of you guys, thank you for being here tonight. I will look forward to seeing all of you guys. Those of you guys who are going to be in tomorrow night's class. I look forward to seeing you guys in class tomorrow night. If you guys have any questions about the upcoming UCC and travel class coming up, that's going to be happening on July 12th and 13th from 6 to 9 p.m. Now, this one is a Wednesday, Thursday class. So those of you guys that say, oh, I cannot do the weekends because I'm, whatever. It's not on a weekend. And none of the classes this month are going to be on the weekend. So you guys can jump in these classes. You guys want to get in on some of this. If you guys want to retake the class, you don't need documents. It's only $175. If you guys have interested in having an interview with me, which you're going to need to do, please go to our website, houseofyahcommunityoutreach.com, set an appointment with me. You can set an appointment with James, or you can set an appointment with my lovely wife, Jessica. Either one of them work, and trying to make it short and sweet. So you guys have a wonderful night. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. And for the rest of you, we'll see you guys next Monday night, 6 p.m. Blessings, everyone. Good night.